Welcome back, everyone. Now we will have a panel discussion on ELT beyond teaching. For this, I would like to invite our moderator for this session, Mr. 𝗖𝗍𝗂 𝗏𝗂, Assistant Professor in the Language Program at SZABIST, onto the stage.
𝗷𝗍𝗿𝗱 𝗏𝗂 Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome in today's panel discussion on linguistics and literature, fostering diversity for a sustainable future. I will be moderating this session. So today, it is our privilege to have such revered panelists at SZABIST University for a meaningful conversation to inspire, educate, and broaden our perspectives. I'd like to request Professor Dr. Saza Zaki to please join us on the stage. Professor Dr. 𝗿𝗏𝗿𝗏 𝗚𝗹𝗿, Dr. Tafsir Ahmed, Mr. 𝗱𝗿𝗿 𝗚𝗹, English is a field of study. It has often been viewed through a limited lens, primarily as a pathway to teaching. However, today we are here to challenge that notion and explore the vast and dynamic career opportunities that BS English graduates can pursue beyond traditional language teaching. From linguistics to literature, research to media, content creation to corporate communication, the possibilities are endless. This discussion aims to shed light on how the study of English can contribute to fostering the diversity and sustainability in various professional fields. To help us navigate this exciting conversation, we have an esteemed panel of experts who bring a wealth of knowledge and experience from different spheres of linguistics, literature, and professional practice. It is my honor to introduce them to you. First, we have Professor Dr. Saza Zaki. She holds a doctorate in writing instruction and serves as a professor of English and applied linguistics. She is the chairperson of the Department of English Linguistics and Allied Studies at NED University of Engineering and Technology, Karachi. She will be delivering an insightful discourse on the academic and professional trajectories available to graduates of the BS English program specializing in applied linguistics. I welcome you, ma'am. Next, we have Dr. 𝗿𝗏𝗏 𝗏𝗏, who possesses a PhD with a research focus on standardized assessment of reading proficiency. He currently holds the position of director at the Quality Enhancement Cell of Jinnah Sindh Medical University. His session will elucidate the intersection between English studies and quality assurance frameworks, highlighting the potential contributions of English graduates to this domain. I welcome you, Dr. Saab. Next, we have Dr. Tafsir Ahmed, a distinguished scholar with a doctoral degree from University of Constance, Germany, has conducted extensive research on the post-positional structures of South Asian languages. Currently serving as Senior Natural Language Processing Scientist at Alexa Translations, he will expound upon the role of English in the evolving discipline of natural language processing and its implications for computational linguistics. Sir, most welcome. Next, we have Mr. 𝗱𝗿𝗿 𝗚𝗹𝗿. He earned his master's degree in English language and literature from Government College University, Lahore. Presently, he holds the position of news editor at Dawn newspaper in Karachi. His responses will provide an analytical perspective on the integration of English graduates within the media sector, with a particular emphasis on print journalism landscape. Welcome, Zadi Saab. We have online Miss Anna Machura from Ireland. She is a distinguished neuro-language and neuroscience coach with a diverse range of specializations. As a registered therapist, a practitioner of neurodiversity, informed methodologies, and an expert in cognitive behavioral therapy, neuro-linguistic programming, and mindfulness, she will delineate the professional avenues available to English graduates in the interdisciplinary fields of neuro-language and neuroscience. We have also Mr. Azhar Rafi, who will be joining us from UK, London. He is the Director of iLearn and Pakistan Director for Lewis School, UK. Additionally, he is a seasoned educational manager and a teacher trainer. His discourse will examine the pathways through which graduates of English programs can establish careers in educational management and teacher training, underscoring the requisite skills and competencies for success in these roles. I encourage our audience to note down your questions as we will have a Q&A session towards the end. With that, let us formally begin our panel discussion. I would like to begin with Professor Dr. Saza Zaki. Dr. Sahaba, what career pathways can BS English graduates explore in applied linguistics? Could you please explain it to our audience?
Thank you, Ksahab. I'm really grateful that I've been given the privilege and honor to come and participate in this conference that touches upon social sciences and humanities and languages, which have been neglected in Pakistan. We have quite an indifferent attitude to languages in particular. So I would like to acknowledge and appreciate that if there is any discussion that's tackling language, it could be English language or other languages, that I'm always appreciative of that fact. English language is a reality. It has come a long way. Many people are still looking at English language from 1835. And Pakistan, unfortunately, is frozen in this native lens of English language. We are still coaching classic British literature in order to train a huge generation in 21st century to use contemporary language through classic literature. I mean, we need to revisit this combination. How would we feel if we are teaching 17th or 18th century Urdu literature in order to develop contemporary Urdu language usage in professional and other domains? So that is something that we need to all acknowledge and understand. The entire world, I mean, when you are in UK, US, and rest of the world, you see that they have moved on beyond Shakespeare to more contemporary literature, to more contemporary themes, to more contemporary relevance of English language in the domains that we are connected with. However, unfortunately, for quite some time, we focused on BS English programs primarily an appreciation of literature. There's no harm. We all can at any point in time. I mean, you don't need to really enroll in a bachelor's program to study and enjoy literature. You can do it. Anybody can enjoy literature. The idea is that for a country like Pakistan, where we are looking at higher education as the vehicle or engine for socio-economic transformation, we are looking at a huge, wider population that needs to be incorporated within the mainstream functions, mainstream disciplines, mainstream workforce that needs to be carrying out and contributing to different sectors. So this is where BS English graduates, they possess multidisciplinary skills. They are trained into a variety of soft sciences. And these soft sciences are capable of giving them an idea that they can use these skills, use these frames in order to contribute to sectors. For instance, there's a lot of information that needs to be resynthesized and repackaged for people to understand in a more simplified way. So we are dealing with content writing, we are dealing with communication, we are dealing with documentation, we are dealing with people. I mean, we today agree that the gaps in educational institutions, high school, colleges, universities, and our graduates, whether they are coming out of any college or university or school, they are not market ready. So for this large learner readiness programs, online educational technologies, they offer such a platform. People who are finding a gap somewhere in their learning, in their skills, they can always approach to an individual or to a platform that can provide them that kind of facilitation, empowering and equipping them to become mainstream, they can then, by overcoming that barrier, they can become useful members to their communities, to their professional groups, to whatever sector they are interested in. So this is where BS graduate really helps. We are looking at English, which is 21st century reality, without any competition with other languages. I would like to conclude with only giving one reality, that when we talk about linguistics, a very important concern today is international intelligibility versus historical identity. We all are dealing with our own languages, which is our historical identity. But then, on the other side, we see that this historical or our contemporary languages within our own context, they will not make us communicate to the entire world. For that, we need to dwell somewhere how to attain a balance between these two extremes for any language. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sajiza Zakhi. I completely agree with you that we need to have a different lens when it comes to exploring the field of English. Now, I'll move to Professor Dr. 𝗿𝗱 𝗚𝗏 𝗠𝗏. Dr. Sahib, you started your academic journey as a linguist or applied linguist, and then we can see that now, mashallah, you are a renowned consultant in terms of higher education accreditation. So how can BS English graduates contribute to the fields of like quality assurance or accreditation and curriculum development in higher education? And what do you think, what skills from their degree would be most valuable in these areas?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qaisar Saab, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. And I really appreciate that SZABIST identified this area and invited professionals from different fields. Some of you may be surprised that somebody who holds masters in English, PhD in testing skills, is appointed in a medical university as a director of quality assurance, teaching doctors, professors, clinicians how to assure quality in higher education. This is a long journey, and I'll be happy to share this journey with you all. Way back in 2006, when quality assurance was a new concept in Pakistan, Higher Education Commission formulated a concept document inviting professionals to establish a department called Quality Enhancement Cell. It was a time when people used to call it Quality Insurance Department, many of them. And there was a chaos as there were no professionals. The qualification criteria that was outlined in HEC document was vague. It was then we started working, I started working, I had a workshop at Dow University of Health Sciences, where I was conducting a session on writing MCQs. And thanks to my university, where I learned how to formulate MCQs, after the workshop, I was asked to meet the Vice Chancellor, and then I joined Dow University of Health Sciences as a Director of Quality Assurance. Now, the question is, what attributes or opportunities are there for BS English students? I'm glad that I'm sharing this with you all. Last month, I shared the details with one of the alumni of Karachi University, inviting BS English students to join Quality Assurance. Now, what is the reason? The reason is very simple. In quality assurance, we need few significant things in a candidate. The first thing is analytical skills. If you have completed your course on applied linguistics, any of the course, you must have been taught discourse analysis. You must have been taught how to analyze a discourse. Similarly, if you have been trained how to conduct classes, you know the learner's psychology, you know the learner's behavior. Adult learning and children's learning. You know all these basic elements. Many of the graduates from different disciplines, say for instance, BS in chemistry, BS in biology, BS in say applied sciences, or even BE from NED University, or the top-notch graduate from Dow University of Health Sciences do not possess these skills. We want people to come forward from English background, BS English, if they have completed some courses on related to applied linguistics. The initial hierarchy starts from assistant director. Imagine that you are starting your career as assistant director. How do you learn about Quality Enhancement Cell? Just Google QEC Pakistan. and you will find 275 universities having this department. And if I am not exaggerating, out of 275, you will find 240 or 50 universities without a specific professional working in quality assurance. In many of the cases, it is somebody from the university who is given the charge of quality assurance, and he starts running the business. When you start learning about it, and you realize that it is the degree, it is your degree, BS in English, that gave you insight of what curriculum is all about. You know how learners are treated in classes and how they should be managed. When you talk to the teachers, you talk about quality parameters. Quality parameters simply means how a curriculum is organized and how it is delivered. If you have been taught these things, you are a good fit for QVC. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saab. I really appreciate, because this is something which is quite different and quite new for, I expect it from our audience, that someone coming from an applied linguistics background can pursue a career in QVC. And rather, thank you so much for pointing it out, that that is the most appropriate person for that specific department. Now I'll move to Dr. Tafsir Ahmed. Sir, starting the journey from computational linguistics, this is probably something, I expect something new for some of the people, that linguistics also has a word like computational linguistics. So what is this? But moving on with that, so from computational linguistics to becoming, a scientist in natural language processing. So how can BS English graduates apply their knowledge of linguistics or literature to the field of natural language processing, particularly in working with Pakistani languages?
Is it working? So thank you for inviting me. So for use of, and I will discuss it in context of AI, which is popular in these days. So the usage of natural language processing or artificial intelligence in linguistics and applied in the fields of linguistics and applied linguistics, we should have a moderate approach and a moderate viewpoint between the two extremes. One extreme is rejection that computers or machines cannot replicate human intelligence. So they are coming close to replicate the human intelligence. So one issue is to do not reject it, that it is not possible, that it is hype, it is possible. And in a way where you can see it in the form of ChatGPT or DeepSeek, etc. So do not reject it. In past, even if you go 3 years ago, there was a different situation. Computers were not so powerful, natural language processing applications were not so powerful that they can deal human languages, but now everything is changed and everything is changing on the weekly basis. We are doing this work, it is my job to do natural language processing, and in these days we say it is not possible today, but I do not know whether to our bosses or to our management teams, but I do not know, maybe it is possible tomorrow. We have found a new model that make it possible. So it is a changing field, so getting the knowledge of this thing. The second issue is that do what is according to your field. If you are convinced with my view that BS students should not reject an artificial intelligence and NLP and start using it, and start searching it, what are the major applications of artificial intelligence in, so they will find building a chatbot or building websites using ChatGPT, but it can be a path, career path. But you are a computer, you are a English student, or you are a linguistic student, or if you are a literature student, try to use artificial intelligence and NLP in your field. You can use it in quality assurance, you can use it in language teaching, you can use it in literary analysis. So try to use it in your field. It is the most important thing, and there are applications. You can learn how to write prompt and then start using it in what we call zero-shot prompting. It means without providing a zero knowledge, without providing no knowledge to the computer, you can ask it to do something. And then I will come to the second extreme. The other extreme is this, wow, we got a wonderful invention, and it tells 100% correct information to us, so we will use it blindly. So our systems have problems. That's why we are hired by the organization to fix those problems and those shortcomings. So one method of research or a career path is to find problems in the shortcomings in these models and then try to fix it. So finding shortcomings in a scientific way. You run, for example, 1,000 prompts and one prompt is wrong, okay. You run 1,000 prompts and 100 times the result is found different, it is another way. So find the frequency of the problems, the severity of the problems, and then try to fix it. Fixing, how can you fix it? You can provide new data to the computers through which it can learn. Because all of these modern systems are based on the data. They learned whole Wikipedia, whole websites of the world, web crawl, and they learned from it. So they are in a way biased towards the majority. So there are many kinds of bias present in these systems. Gender bias is the most discussed one. There are other biases. There would be dialectal bias. For example, in Pakistan, if we say I am searching for a hotel or hotel in our local accent, so it can mean either I am searching for a restaurant or I am searching for a place to stay. In standard English, it is only the residence place. So dialectal information is to be provided, and here the subject expert can help. They can find the shortcomings and they can provide the relevant data by using which it can be fixed. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saab, for giving us such a detailed response on this. And I'm sure that the future is definitely going to need an English graduate in terms of the use of AI, because the development of AI tools, obviously, it also has a very significant impact of English on it. So an English graduate can definitely be a very significant can play a very significant part in the development of these things. Let's welcome Ms. Anna Machura from Ireland. So Ms. Anna Machura, thank you so much for joining us, and we welcome you to this conference and this panel discussion. So you're an expert of neuro-language and neurodiversity, and so how would you say, how can a graduate of BS English transition into the field of neuro-language coaching and neurodiversity, and what foundational skills from linguistics or literature are most relevant in the domain that you are working in?
First of all, thank you so much for the invitation and warm greetings from Ireland to everyone. It's a very important question. I will try to refer to the other panelists as well. So first of all, we mentioned earlier critical and analytical thinking skills. Also Shakespeare, which I would say to be or not to be future ready. And I would try to combine also finding gaps in knowledge. And that has to do a lot with neurolinguistics. Let me explain now. When we talk about the ability to do something and then honing our skills, number one is the first degree that you're going to get, it's just beginning. And it starts from there. So my approach would be, how can you diverge from that, is try to pick a discipline, a domain that will allow you later on to be the best you can. So start with the workings of your mind. I'm a therapist as well. And as a neurolinguist, I always focus on how you feel while doing something. Now, the environment's going to be quite organic, but at the same time, you need to know the language thoroughly. So thinking of that, number one, the foundational skills, yes, you will get the degree, but please remember about continuous professional development as well. When it comes to neurolinguistics, and later on, you may say, is it just that? No, psycholinguistics. And then from there, you need to check if you feel good while working with people, because this is a slightly different thing. Now, you might have different sessions. For example, NLP, neurolinguistic programming, or as a therapist, I use a lot of different strategies, but that requires the foundation anyway. So linguistics over literature, my answer is always linguistics, and then you can diverge from there. Find different environments. Okay, social science is about individuals, societies. I know that there are different situations, and we need to be future ready. So try to be ready with your set skill for the future all the time. It may look differently when it comes to Ireland or the UK. Slightly different when you pick a different country. That's natural. So number one is the discipline, but at the same time, you as a person, and focusing on emotional intelligence as well, metacognition. And I would love to get a question from you, because I can talk about the academic context as well, but do not stop or limit yourself just to that one field, or even thinking about different jobs. Think where you cannot be replaced. Now, with the AI, it's now here and it's going to stay, but still finding the gaps, all right, and honing your skills as you go. I would love to, well, I do interactive sessions. I would love to get some questions. What do you think about it? And some feedback.
Definitely, we have we have planned a Q&A session, and I am quite positive that you'll be getting quite interesting questions for yourself to answer. Thank you so much. Let's come back to Pakistan and at ZABIST specifically from Ireland. We have Mr. 𝗏𝗏 𝗏𝗏 𝗏𝗏. As I've already introduced that he is the editor of Dawn newspaper. So thank you so much for coming today. And I know you must be under great pressure after PICA ordinance, but don't worry, we are not going to go there. We'll remain academic. And being an editor, you've been working for the last 20 years, and you've been affiliated with so many international and national organizations. So what role does a background in linguistics and literature play in your career, since you're also a master's in language and literature? So as a news editor, and how can BS English graduates leverage their skills to enter the field of journalism and editorial work?
Thank you very much. I realize that I'm the only non-PhD person on the stage right now, so I will try my best not to bring down the level of discourse too much. It's very interesting. If you ask me today, if I would accept a journalism graduate or an English graduate in the as a staffer in my paper, I would much rather opt for the English graduate. Wow. There's a reason for that. But having said that, any other degree than media studies or journalism, I would much rather induct. Because if you've studied a subject, be it English language, literature, physics, geography, history, international relations, you have a grasp of the world around you. You have a wherewithal, you have analytical skills, you have research capabilities, and all of these fields impart those to you. That is the core tenet of what we're trying to do. As other speakers have pointed out before me, the nature of journalism is such that anyone should be able to do it, because it is meant for everyone. It should be able, if it is interpretable, if it is understandable for the average reader, only then is it successful journalism, then only then is it a successful piece of reporting. If you cut off access to your accounts by using far too verbose language, or by using, as somebody rightly pointed out, language which is out of context or out of place in a certain scenario. अगर मैं यहाँ पर बैठ के forsooth and verily करना शुरू कर दूँ, तो शायद that might not be relatable. But having said that, the language that we use to talk about events develops with time. Shakespeare and Christopher Marlowe, जो ज़बान बोलते थे या लिखते थे, the language they wrote is not as relevant as what Drake and Kendrick Lamar are now using. They are the Shakespeare and Marlowe of our times now. SpongeBob SquarePants is, the pop culture icon. Peanuts is philosophy now. Sophie's Choice has been replaced by Peanuts. You have different vehicles for sharing experiences which have been with us through the centuries. You don't need to read Kant essentially in the original text anymore to grasp what he's trying to say. You don't have to read Hobbes perhaps anymore in the original language. You can get that sense from more accessible texts. So that's where my job comes in, or where my profession comes in, to make information accessible for people. And in order to do that, one needs to have excellent reading comprehension, which is a basic ability that any human being should have, and any language speaking person, and I hope I'm not precluding any special persons by saying that, but anybody who can express themselves is essentially doing that. They're trying to convey thoughts as accurately as possible. A pet peeve of mine has been that, a lot of people, almost everybody, says that journalism needs to be objective. I argue that true objectivity is perhaps impossible for human beings, because we are all subjective animals. हम अपनी दो आँखों से देखते हैं. We look at the world through our two eyes. So for somebody sitting in the audience, Dr. Saab is sitting to my left. But for me, Dr. Saab is sitting to my right. It's a difference in the way that I view it based on where you're sitting. So there is no objective truth here, right? It's all relative, as Einstein would have said. In that relative world that we live in, if I am able to use words to communicate an idea easily, if I am able to communicate my idea in 3 words, it is a far more effective than if I use 10 words. So those are the kinds of skills that one needs for any profession, but I would say for journalism especially. And I'd conclude right now by saying that rather than trying to limit or close off the profession, I would say that we throw it open to everyone. Anybody can be a journalist. In fact, a lot of my colleagues, a lot of friends I've had through the years growing up in university started out with the journalism jobs. A lot of people who are now CFOs and CEOs, were working alongside me at the Daily Times back in the year 2000, or, successful lawyers now are, I remember that they would be working at places like The Nation, because these were the academies where young people with good English at a young age could go and hone their craft. Those opportunities now, especially in terms of the learning experience of that institution, have diminished because of the advent of digital media and social media. It's more individual driven now, and it's more person specific. It doesn't have to do with an organization. You don't have to be associated with a Dawn or an Nawai Waqt in order to be taken seriously. You have your own pulpit on Instagram or YouTube or Twitter, and you use it. So perhaps the most important thing is understanding how you can channel your grip on language, your analytical skills, and your view of the world, because that is also very important. The way you view the world dictates how you would talk about something. So Shakespeare के बारे में ये कहा जाता है कि वो चोर था. Shakespeare was a thief. He stole a lot of his ideas from Marlowe, from other historians, from Cicero even, and he concocted those stories. I mean, Julius Caesar, it's not an original story, please. So, but his trick was that he used the language of the time to express ideas which were in vogue at the time and which appealed to people at the time as well. So now the torch has passed on to the Drake and Lamar generation, and perhaps we need to not dumb down, but come to the level that is of discourse that is prevalent among the youth and among the masses today, and try to speak their language. to prevent ourselves from getting outdated. That's
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I completely agree with you that everyone has a different perspective. And sometimes we agree, and sometimes we agree to disagree. So both of the perspectives exist, and we have to live with these. And thank you so much for this insightful thought. Let's go to UK now, and not physically, but virtually. And let's welcome Mr. Azhar Rafi from London. Mr. Azhar, can you hear me? He's not there? Okay. So he'll be joining us again, I hope, very, very soon. So let me come back to Pakistan. The visa got rejected. So now let me ask a very... Dr. ஸaஜா has been my teacher. And right now I'm shaking because, you know, talking in front of a teacher is one of the most difficult part of the world. So, ma'am, I have been trying to promote English, BS English program. But the main problem and the main question that I have come across almost from everybody, and this is not only, you know, not at one place, but at many places. And the typical sentence that I have come across is कि भाई BS English करके क्या करेगा? Teacher बन जाएगा. And this was something that is, since Anna is there, so I must translate it, that at most, what can a graduate of English do? He can, at the most, start teaching. So that is what the comment that we have, you know, we face generally. So is this, because I've also been associated with US projects, and you're also one of the persons who have led many US aid projects. And why is it that even the international forum only promotes teaching? Over there, we can see that they hire English language teachers, they teach English language. Why is it not that they educate students in other fields as well, so that, you know, this domain can also be viewed that English is not only about language teaching? So, ma'am, what do you think is the reason of that?
This is primarily because we have a long history of certain cultural ideologies that surround us. Before people are born in Pakistan, their parents make a decision. If it's a boy, he'll be an engineer. If it's a girl, a doctor. So under this scenario, where is language? Where are other professions we haven't thought of? That's one. And the reason why people think of computer science or management science or medicine or engineering, because they can see very concrete career paths laid out for these graduates the minute they'll step out of universities. When you talk about languages, linguistics, English, we are dealing with a soft science. When the science is soft, our career paths are also some things that we need to... I have carved my own career path. I have established the department where I needed to become professor in life. It was not already there for me. After 29 years, people do question, what are you doing in NAD? So there is a department. So these realities are very much there. However, times are changing very rapidly. Because of English language now, in most of the competencies, as already a couple of my colleagues here, they have asserted on the fact that English language is identified to be the medium of communication, and it's in all global surveys, is identified as one of the top 5 competencies needed by professionals. When they are recruited, when they are hired, somewhere a very decisive factor remains their English language competence. So because of that, more and more people are now thinking about how to develop their abilities, and from English, then they can pursue any kind of other postgraduate programs. Talking about my department, I'll give you a couple of examples. There are courses in our program that people are studying and they consider publishing as their future. Out of the 5 batches that we have produced, 4 students are published authors. So in a short span of 5 years, we have produced 4 published authors. And there are in Pakistan many universities with 30 years of programs in English or in literature. They have not produced as many published literature as we have created. Similarly, training and development is one. Skills education is another one. So we have moved beyond teaching. We have looked at how, let me just point out a couple of research studies that are happening. We are dealing with machine translation for medical field. We are dealing with Pakistani English because we need to detach ourselves. Within the region, Asian Englishes, India is taking lead, Nepal is taking lead, Bangladesh is taking lead, Sri Lanka is taking lead. The most important authority on world Englishes remains Jennifer Jenkins. Open her book and get me one single line about Pakistan. We have India there, Philippines there, Malaysia there, Indonesia there, every country. But we are missing. So this is the reality. We need to change those mindsets. It will take a bit of time. However, encouraging people to consider disciplines beyond and probably letting our students, under kind of career counseling that we do, maybe we can start educating or creating a bit of awareness what kinds of trainings happen under these programs. So we are not just teaching. If you talk about visionary discourse, if you talk about critical discourse, if you talk about media, in our program, students study discourse analysis with respect to media. And this is where they are also entering into media. So I hope I've answered your question.
Definitely, ma'am. And I'm being a graduate of NED, I'm feeling so proud right now. You have no idea because obviously, and we have quite a few more graduates of NED who've joined ZABIST English department. You will be very happy. So again, after having felt proud, so I'd like to now move to Dr. Abdullah Usmani, sir. Like, again, it's difficult to digest it, if I may use the exact word, that someone coming from applied linguistics background or literature background can work in quality assurance committee or a department. So if a student wants to be, because I'm now talking, I'm representing a thought of an undergraduate student or a student who has just graduated, not only of ZABIST, but if any other university. So if a student wants to be an internee, let's say, in a QEC department or anywhere, because the person is, or the student is interested in pursuing this career. So what specific skills do you think that the university should teach the student? And what specific courses could you specify that the student should have gone through before joining as an internee in QEC?
Okay. Let me connect your question to your first question with Dr. Sajda. I may be a bit awkward in my comment, but this is the irony of higher education institution in Pakistan. We don't have curriculum development policy. We develop the curriculum or we borrow it from Higher Education Commission. Now, if we borrow some curriculum from Higher Education Commission, and if we don't identify the graduate attributes, and if you don't identify graduate attributes, what are you going to assess by the end of the program? Just imagine, if you are a teacher, what are you contributing in formulating a complete graduate? What happens? You complete your course, you assume that you have done your job. The next year, another teacher, he contributes his course and then he claims that he has done his job. Who has the ownership of the graduate? Nobody. The head of the department manages the courses. And there comes the role of quality assurance. We need to identify the graduate attributes. And when the graduate attributes are identified, we'll be able to see where we can place these graduates. It is very obvious that people claim that English graduate will be teaching English only. Because it's very simple. Because they have not been told what they're going to do. Trust me, when I completed my master's, I did not know. I'm not blaming my teachers. I'm not blaming the system. The only flaw that exists is we ourselves as academic administrators don't know what we are aiming at. And this is common throughout higher education institution in Pakistan. We produce graduates without telling them what they're going to do. This is number one. Number two, even if you produce somebody, we produce job seekers. We have not talked about job creators. Talk to a BS computer science and he'll say, I hold a company and I employ people. Ask BS English, have you started some venture? Your answer will be no. SZABIST had a big stall in job fair by Sindh Higher Education Commission. I could not trace, probably there may be one, but I could not trace any graduate from English department or studying in English department coming up with some unique idea as entrepreneur. We need to understand one thing. Quality assurance is the backbone of higher education institution. And without it, higher education institutions are not going to sustain their identity in the world. This is number one. Number two, how to be an intern in quality assurance. If you do a market survey, your leadership, people from English department, if they do a simple market research, they will identify two major fields for English graduates. Number one, quality assurance. Number two, 𝗤𝗍. Throughout Pakistan, you will keep searching people and you will not find a good professional in 𝗤𝗍. You identify many professionals good in writing skills, good in writing research papers, but they don't know about 𝗤𝗍. They don't know how to market their product. They don't know how to translate their ideas into practice. Similarly, in quality assurance, I come across several graduates. They have the capacity, but the problem is they don't know that they have the capacity of doing this. So what are the basic skills to be an intern first in any QEC department? The first thing is you need to understand how curriculum is developed. Number two, you need to understand how teaching should be effectively done in classroom. Number three, you need to understand how assessment is carried out in higher education institution. It's not the assessment that you are carrying out in your institutions. Graduate attributes. How do you identify that you have achieved what you aimed at? Let's talk to BS English faculty members. What did you contribute into this graduate? A specific graduate. For example, 𝗘𝗱𝘂. He demonstrates what he has learned throughout his academic career, but ended up in teaching. The point is, did he try or did he identify avenues? Trust me, we need people. The idea is very simple. Go to a university. My university is always open for that. Go to any university. Meet the QC professionals and offer your services. The first skill that you need is good writing skills. Number two, analytical skills. And as I said before, curriculum, teaching, and assessment. These are the three significant attributes that will help you build your career in quality enhancement cell. Finally, even if you don't find any avenue, start applying to different QECs. Trust me, people have got, in our QA department, we have got dentist, fresh BDS, working as assistant director QEC. D-Form, working as assistant director QEC. Simple computer science graduate working as data analyst. We have people, but we have acute shortage of people who know how to write, people who know how to express themselves. So even in my department, I have got only 2 people, and my additional director is PhD in English. She did her master's in English and then PhD in English. Another intern that has recently joined us is BDS. We need people. They can be trained in a couple of weeks only, not even months. Because BS English graduates have essential qualification, that is teaching and learning, assessment, and curriculum, basics of curriculum. With that, if you possess this, if you are confident for that, but again, I request the department, and I have conveyed the same to Karachi University, the department should identify, should meet some QEC experts, should ask them what attributes are required. These should be embedded in the programs. Then you'll be able to do this session with your graduating students. Many of you complete graduating student survey form, but you don't know what attributes were expected from you. So with this, I hope you're going to serve in QEC as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sahab. And this has just given us the idea that not only QEC can accommodate BS English students, but ORIC department can also accommodate or can also hire students. And talking about the job fair, sir, because we've just started this program and this was our second intake, and that was the basic reason for having this panel discussion, so that the audience and the people can also understand that English is very vast and it has this element in it that it can absorb and dissolve in anything. So I'm really very grateful for you to pointing out another department that can accommodate people from English background. Dr. Tafsir, and after Dr. Tafsir, I'll come to Ana Mashura, because Dr. Tafsir, for instance, if a student is interested in AI, but there are the only avenue perceptionally available, the perception is this, that if you wish to pursue AI field, computer sciences is the only way that you can do it. But if I ask you that if a student wishes to pursue AI and has good language skills, but does not have that specificity or capacity about all the computer language courses or all the computer sciences, so can BS English be also a way of entering in the AI field? Is it possible? Because you're now, mashallah, a scientist. So what if someone wants to join you as an internee or as an assistant? What do you think the person should be capable of, and what courses should the person have studied?
Okay, thank you. So before answering it, I want to share your experience of speaking in the presence of the teacher. So Dr. Altaf Muqati was my teacher at Karachi University in 1997, 1998. So now coming to the point, yes, it can be done. There are, and in the current scenario, there is another advantage that prompt engineering, writing prompts for the large language model, you can write in human languages. So you have an idea, you write in English or even in Urdu, Sindhi. It is possible that you write it in step by step and ask the computer, the large language model to do it, and it will do it in many cases, in most of the cases, in a very good way. So one is prompt. Now the hurdle of the learning programming language is minimized. It is not taken away, but it is minimized. So for at least for the proof of concept, one can write problem in human language and ask a computer to do it. The other thing is to learn the first is you can learn Python language, which is popular in these days. And by learning Python language, you can use the libraries and the modules available for natural language processing and AI and get your results. And in this regard, an important aspect is the faculty and the curriculum planners should focus on it, because in most of the departments there is, in most of the streams, there is one course of introduction to programming or introduction to computer science. They are in mechanical engineering it is available, even I think in linguistics it is available, in many disciplines it is available. However, when the courses are planned, they are planned in an archaic way. When I started programming, my first programming language was Pascal. Then I went to Visual Basic, C, Java, and now Python. I love Java as the best language, but I work on Python because AI applications are built better in Python. So in many of our curriculum languages, they are not the generic ones. It is the course of Java programming or C programming. Today is the time of Python programming. Maybe next year XYZ programming language will appear. So the courses should be, the computer science courses should be generic. That we will teach a programming language, or for linguistic analysis we will introduce a tool that can do the syntactic parsing, or that can do the morphological analysis. One should not name the tool that we will use AntConc, or we will use Stanford NLP library. It should be generic ones. So we can, in every semester, we can introduce the current state of the art. So current state of the art, coming to the student, the current state of art is Python language. So they can learn Python language, and Coursera and YouTube are the have a lot of resources. There is a course on Coursera, Python for everyone. They can start from that there, and they can find examples in which how they can learn how to use natural language processing libraries like SPACY, or how can they use DeepSeek. If we just one more thing, that I recorded some YouTube lectures in 2020. They are available, computational linguistics for Pakistan. I think what was natural language processing for Pakistani linguistics, and its slides and code are available on GitHub. Now I restarted it for recording those in for the current scenario to include the large language models, etc. So if you connect with me on LinkedIn or search on the YouTube, you will find it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saab, for this information, and I'm sure that people are definitely going to, watch your videos, and they're going to learn a lot from you. Thank you so much. Let's go to Miss Anna. Anna, I have, the nature of the question is the same, but since you are from slightly different field, so with your expertise specifically in CBT and NLP and mindfulness, how can BS English students integrate interdisciplinary approaches like neuroscience and psychology into their careers, particularly in the fields of beyond traditional teaching?
With pleasure, absolutely. So if you are that kind of person that likes to fix change, you're not afraid to ask questions, and you can see what is unseen. That's what I say, because the cognitive behavioral therapy, for example, is obviously everything in the mind, but everything starts with thoughts, and later on it's emotions, and then those emotions lead you to some actions. And if you're in the classroom, putting that into that context, you observe learners, you want to motivate them, you want to see the results in behavior, right? But what I do is you can first tackle the level of processing skills, okay, avoiding cognitive overload, just tapping into their meta model. If you're not familiar with that terminology, we all process information in a different way. So now, how can you integrate that? In fact, with the experience of over 20 years and working with neurodivergent learners, that means, for example, with dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, and so on. So those brains definitely process information in a totally different way, which is okay, like neurodiversity, biodiversity. Once you put all those pieces together, knowing the workings of your mind, and you observe and know that that person can learn faster this way. I can say learn faster. You see, it's all about facilitating that, but I am flexible enough and I can adopt. So in a way, you're changing, trying to give the strategies, give the techniques, and being a therapist, integrating, instead of a separate session, just putting those strategies into a learning session, then you get the results. So if this is something for you, if you're listening to me right now and think, okay, I love psychology, I love psycholinguistics, I would love to get more information on neuroscience, put all those pieces together, see if you are that kind of person. But you need to be able to go with the flow. Sometimes you never know. You need to be in the classroom first. Okay, so from teaching, then you observe one-to-one sessions, workshops, and sometimes you may even discover something new. So I create materials. There are different books, but they would not suit neurodivergent learners. And there are different projects as well. There are things you can do in the classroom, all right, with the curriculum, but there are things you will not. So reach out to people that will show you other ways. Be very, very flexible and open-minded. I work on the national curriculum, so there are changes being made as we speak. So again, what can be done? Do not be afraid to present something new, different. It should be a whole school approach as well, because you may find yourself in a spot that I want to change something, but I don't have people around me. So reach out and talk to other specialists, consult, and so on. I run a lot of different special interest groups. You can join us. Some sessions are free, like most of them. But again, be yourself, be unique, dream big. And this is what I tell everybody. Think outside of the box and get a unique set of skills, because every graduate would have the basic skills, foundational level. So what can you do the extra bit, I always say, and tapping into the meta model. Respect differences with compassion, empathy, adaptability. One more time. So I've created this method, teaching with therapeutic techniques. If you want to know more, you know where to find me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Anna. And I hope we will definitely be looking forward to having some sort of collaboration with you from ZABIST and your organization to promote NLP in Pakistan. And I'd love to have you as panelists, in future as well, to give more details about how NLP, how student can pursue the field of NLP. Definitely. I have last question from Mr. Hassan Bilal. Sir, what specific skills or experiences, like you mentioned in your talk, that you would rather have a graduate of student in the media than any other field? So what if, what specific skills or experiences should BS English student develop if they aspire to work in the media industry, particularly in editorial roles, like, the leading newspapers like Dawn? So what would you like to see in them?
Unfortunately, by the time you get hold of the student, their writing style has already been developed. You can't teach them how to write. Okay, that is contingent on the way that they've been brought up, what language is spoken in the house, what books they had access to growing up, what pop culture they consumed, where they lived. So a Pakistani person, speaking Urdu and English in the household may have been living in Kuwait all their lives. And, so that's a very different life perspective to bring. And if you're somebody who lands in a school like HSN or KGS or, government college or KU from that context, then anything that you teach them will be a bit alien to them, right? So it's not just about what the student of BS English brings to the table. It's about anybody bringing that to the table. As people have spoken here before, analytical skills, reading comprehension, understanding of context, understanding of translation and transliteration. So phrases in Urdu, for instance, one of my favorite things to talk about is idioms and metaphors and similes. How do you translate them from language to language? This is an issue that linguists, writers have been struggling with for centuries. And so I used to work at BBC Urdu. I'll give you a small example. There was a great BBC news piece about this British footballer who was involved with the Saudi royal. And in the story, there was a line that said he was sucking up to the Arabs. Now, this definitely means that he was being very obsequious towards them. He was trying to get on their good books. The translator who sent the copy back, you can imagine what they wrote. वो अरबियों को चूस रहे थे. They were actually, it's all about the context, right? That even Google Translate could have made that same mistake. But the problem is that when you divorce the understanding of a concept from the context of what you're talking about, then understanding anything or relaying an understanding of anything becomes very difficult, right? This is the main point that people have to understand. Writing is about making things accessible, as I've said before, and capturing things as accurately as possible. It's not a formula. okay? Especially if you're talking about writing for journalism or writing creatively, that kind of the way, as you know, as our speaker rightly pointed out, everybody has different pathways in their brain. So, you know, you can start your journey from point X and get to point Y alongside everybody else, but the route you take in the middle may not be the same as everybody else. You know, you may arrive at a realization in a much more circuitous, much more roundabout way than perhaps other people, you know. Kuch logon ko, some people have difficulty understanding certain concepts, such as mathematical concepts. I count myself as one of those people. I can understand politics, mathematics eludes me. But somebody else on this panel, Dr. Saab, perhaps would have the opposite problem, you know, or somebody might not understand financial terms, dense financial terms, as well as they would. It is the job of the journalist to convey those concepts in a manner, in language that is completely accessible to everybody. One of my pet peeves is with the use of abbreviations. Why use so many abbreviations? That automatically shuts out most of the room from what you're talking about. You've used a couple of abbreviations to refer to your courses, and you know, but I have no idea what you're talking about. So essentially, at one level, there's that you're creating that barrier of communication by using those abbreviations. Similarly with jargon, with acronyms, you know, these are the things that raise barriers rather than pulling them down. I'd like to also address something that Dr. Saab very rightly pointed out, that...
So if you could be a bit concise, because we have time constraints.
Yes, so 10 seconds. The use of AI is not just limited to, like Imad Irfani, you talk to your Kia and you say, GPT, play the next song. You can have engaging conversations with AI. You can have philosophical discussions with AI. You can talk about concepts, scientific terms, try to understand things from it, but don't follow it blindly. We have resources such as perplexity.ai, for example, which is a search engine powered by AI technology, which doesn't just give you an answer. It gives you referenced answers. It gives you links that, you know, this is the information I've got from this source. Even if it is hallucinating, you can find out that it's hallucinating, okay? So when people use AI now, nobody's training their own llama and an offline system at home. They're all using it, DeepSeek, or ChatGPT, online, okay? You're never getting a clean experience. If you want to use AI for your own purposes, whether it's journalism, whether it's writing, you have to train it on your own material. You know, you can't feed it then Wikipedia, because Wikipedia also contains hallucinations. You know, it's not an accurate source of information. Everybody in this room should know this already. So, you know, the use of, again, also, one last thing. The large language model does not operate like a human being, as an adult human being. Perhaps you can consider it a neurodivergent human being, because it will not look at things in terms of do this, don't do this. It will calculate and assign values to those tokens. Words are tokens for it. So if you tell it, do not touch this, it won't understand it. It will just collate the sum of those values and give you an output that it thinks is suitable to you. So one aspect of prompt engineering that we're taught is that try to avoid giving it negative statements, right? If you use AI to augment your work rather than replace your work, your assignment should not be written by AI. It can be edited by AI, right? Grammarly can be used to parse through to improve your expression, but the voice has to be yours. You know, the storytelling has to be yours. AI cannot tell the story for you. And that is the main message that I want to leave people with, that these are tools that will augment your capabilities to become creators, to become artists, dreamers, you know. Language users and people, you know, like me especially, we're dreamers. We don't think about the practical aspects. We don't think about the entrepreneurship angle. We want to create something. You know, we want to give meaning to something. And that's the message that I wish to leave people with as well, that the drive to just make money should not limit you from expressing your creative self. You will find an avenue for it, whichever field it may be, and you will find a day job. But that creativity must always come through, and we must grab our humanity to stop it from being overrun by artificial humanity.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry we won't be able to have questions because of the time constraints. We draw this panel discussion to a close. I extend my deepest gratitude to our distinguished panelists for sharing their expertise, our engaged audience, and the people who have made it possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. I request you all to please remain on stage. I will now request President ZABIST, Madam Shahnaz Wazir Ali, and Vice President, Academics Professor Dr. Altaf Muqadi, to please come onto the stage and give the token of appreciation to our esteemed panelists.
Professor Dr. Sajida Zaki. Mr. 𝗍𝗶𝗿𝗀 𝗚𝗹𝗻𝗀. Dr. Tafsir Ahmed. Mr. Hassan Bilal Zaidi. And our moderator, Mr. 𝗥𝗱𝗂𝗰𝗵𝗀.
Please remain on the stage for a group photo. Please remain on the stage for a group photo.
Thank you, everyone.